I wasn't running from something. At least that's what I kept telling myself. Truth is, I was burned out. 2 years of remote work, breakups, lost friends, and one panic attack too many finally broke me. So I packed my old Subaru with a tent, a stove, and enough supplies to vanish for a week. I picked a national forest way off the beaten path, something I found on a dusty hikers forum. No crowds, no cell phone signal, just trees, air, and silence. That's all I wanted. Silence. I stopped at a gas station 2 hours from the trailhead. Just one pump and a building that looked like it hadn't been cleaned since the 70s. The guy behind the counter was old, grey, with a deadpan stare. He saw my hiking pack and said, "You camping near the ridge?" I nodded. "Don't go where the trees bend in. You'll know it if you see it." He didn't explain, just rang up my jerky and water, then stared at the door like I was already leaving. I should have listened. By my second day out there, I felt human again. I slept under the stars, heard the wind in the trees instead of traffic, and finally started breathing like I used to before life got so heavy. That morning, I spotted it. A thin trail, overgrown but visible. Maybe a game path, not marked on my map. It split off from the main loop and curved down into a darker part of the forest. I don't know what made me take it. Maybe boredom, maybe curiosity. The farther I went, the quieter it got. No birds, no bugs, just the sound of my boots on pine needles. The trees here were different, older, twisted inward, like they were arching over the trail, forming a tunnel. I remembered what the gas station guy said. "Don't go where the trees bend in." But I laughed it off. Probably just local superstition. Then I found something strange. A small bundle of twine tied into a tight knot, wedged into a hollow in a tree. Near it, a compass, cracked and rusted, but it didn't look old. Not ancient, just forgotten. That's when I decided to turn back. Except I couldn't. The trail I thought I'd taken wasn't behind me. Just more forest. No markings, no prints, like the forest swallowed the path behind me. My GPS blinked erratically. The sun was dipping fast, faster than it should have. I set up camp right where I stood. Something told me not to wander further. That night, something brushed against my tent. I woke up drenched in sweat. My watch said 4:12 a.m. But the sky was dark, no stars, no moon, just thick cloud cover and that weird pressure in the air, like before a thunderstorm. Outside the tent, I found bare footprints, small, child-sized. They circled the tent twice, then stopped abruptly at a thick wall of brambles. No footprints leaving. Just vanished. That's when I heard it. Humming. Faint. A girl's voice. It came from deeper in the woods. I convinced myself it was a trick of the wind. But that day, I didn't try to find the trail. I just sat, rationed food, stared at the map, and waited for the forest to look familiar again. It didn't. Wandering a bit, I stumbled on another site, or what was left of one, a rotting tent, mold-covered gear, an animal skull with twine wrapped around it. Inside the tent, there was a diary, waterlogged, but I could make out a few entries. She comes at night, humming, always humming. She wants my name, she won't give hers. I saw her face today. It wasn't a face. I dropped the book and ran. That night, something whispered my name from the other side of the tent wall. I couldn't stay another night. I packed in minutes and bolted in the direction I thought led out. I walked for hours, climbing, cutting through brush, scraping my arms raw. But every direction led back to the same clearing. The trees formed a perfect ring, and in the middle stood her, a girl. White dress, bare feet. Facing away, humming that same eerie tune. I called out, asking if she was okay. She tilted her head slightly, still didn't turn around. Then she whispered, "Do you know where you are yet?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. She began to turn toward me. I caught a glimpse of her face. Pale, wrong, unfolding too slowly, like skin being stretched over bone. I ran. But no matter where I turned, the trees shifted. They rearranged. The light blinked, like daylight and dusk were glitching back and forth. Her humming stayed behind me the whole time, like it was inside my head. Eventually I fell, slammed hard into the forest floor. My vision blurred. When I woke, I was back at the compass tree. Only now, the compass was spinning normally. I made it to the main trail. A park ranger spotted me and called for help. He said I'd been missing for 3 days. I told him it had only been 1. They said I was dehydrated, possibly hallucinating. I didn't argue. I kept the diary from that ruined tent. But when I got home, the pages were blank, not water-stained, not smeared, just empty. I haven't gone back. I don't hike anymore. But sometimes, in the middle of the night, I wake up and hear that humming, faint, just outside my apartment window. Last night, I heard it again. And this time, it said my name. I never told her my name. I was never afraid of being alone. In fact, I preferred it. That's what made the job so perfect. A 3-week rotation in a fire lookout tower, deep in a national forest. No tourists, no towns, no traffic. Just me, a 2-way satellite phone for emergencies, and the treetops stretching to the horizon. I was 26, finishing my biology degree. The position came through a professor, seasonal wildlife observation combined with fire monitoring during dry months. I'd get paid to sit in the clouds and write in a notebook. Heaven, right? The drop-off was uneventful. A guy named Dale drove me up in a muddy 4x4, chewing sunflower seeds the whole way. He didn't talk much, but when the tower came into view, he finally said something. "You'll hear things out here. Just ignore it." I asked, "What kind of things?" He didn't answer right away, just looked out the windshield and squinted at the sun. "You'll know." That should have been my first red flag. The fire tower was beautiful, 60 feet above the forest floor, surrounded on all sides by uninterrupted green. The air smelled like pine needles and ash. The windows creaked when the wind blew, and the wood beneath my feet still held warmth from the sun. I fell asleep the first night with my window cracked and a thermal blanket pulled tight around my shoulders. Nothing unusual. But on the 3rd night, I heard footsteps. Not animal footsteps. Not the shuffle of raccoons or the padded step of a deer. These were bipedal, deliberate, circling the tower, crunching slowly through the underbrush. I sat up in bed and listened, breath caught in my throat. Then came the sound I still can't explain. Tap! 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 Something was climbing the ladder. The first few rungs groaned, then it stopped. I killed the lantern and held my breath. My ears rang with the silence. Then, whispering, clear as glass, just outside the trapdoor below me, "Let me up." My blood ran cold. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. Eventually, the voice faded. The footsteps receded. At sunrise, I forced myself down the ladder and walked the perimeter. I found bare footprints in the frost. Small, child-sized, human. But the toes were wrong. Too long, splayed like fingers. There were no return tracks. Days blurred together. I logged weather, recorded animal sightings, and cooked beans on a camp stove. But I was changing. The silence began to feel oppressive, like the trees were listening. Every night, the whispers returned. Sometimes they came from beneath the tower, sometimes from the radio, even though it wasn't plugged in. Always the same voice. "Let me up. It's cold. You're not alone." I stopped sleeping. Then I noticed the forest had changed. From the top of the tower you could see for miles, but on the 7th morning, the tree line was different, thicker, tighter. Trees had shifted, growing closer to the tower. That afternoon, I spotted something on the east side, a new pine tree, much larger than the rest, standing unnaturally close to the base. Tied to its trunk was a strip of red cloth. From my sweatshirt. I hadn't left the tower. I stayed up through the night, watching. At exactly 2:13 a.m., a flicker of firelight appeared in the forest below. I scrambled for the binoculars and focused in. What I saw wasn't a fire. It was a person, or something posing as a person, holding a flickering lantern. Pale skin, no clothes, elongated limbs. Its arms dangled almost to its knees, and its face was wrong, smooth like a mask, with only the faint suggestion of a mouth. It didn't move, it didn't blink, it just looked up at me. Then it spoke, not with lips, but in my own mind. Loud, familiar. "Let me see your eyes." I collapsed backward, nearly knocking over the stove. It was in my head. The words, the voice. But it sounded like me. Like it had pulled the memory from my own brain and thrown it back at me. I crawled to the corner and sat there until dawn. By morning, the fire was gone. So was the figure. But the ladder had changed. 3 rungs bent downward, warped like something heavy had stood on them. On day 9, I ran. No pack, no plan. I just bolted down the tower and sprinted into the trees with nothing but a flashlight and my boots. The forest was not the same. No trails, no markers, just endless rows of identical trees and shifting light. Branches scratched my arms, roots grabbed at my ankles. The trees closed in like walls, and always, behind me, the whisper, "Let me up. Don't leave. We see you." Hours passed, maybe days. Eventually, I collapsed near a dried stream bed. I don't remember falling asleep, but when I woke, I was in a ranger cabin with an IV in my arm. They said I'd been missing for 16 days. My journal was gone. My radio was never recovered. When they hiked to the tower, they found the door open and every window nailed shut from the outside. No footprints, no fire damage, just emptiness. The tower is closed now. Sometimes at night, I still hear that voice. Sometimes it uses my mother's voice. Sometimes it sounds like my own. Last week, I got a call from an unknown number. When I picked up, there was silence. Then static. Then, "Let me up." I'm not much of a hiker. My brother was the outdoorsy one. He died last year, a stupid climbing accident in British Columbia. Since then, I've been trying to connect with him in my own way. Reading his old trail notes, following the hikes he used to take. That's how I ended up alone on the Ghost Ridge Trail, a 17-mile loop that cuts through deep forest and crosses an abandoned fire road near the old border markers. The first day was uneventful, but on the second morning, just off the trail beneath a deadfall, I found it. A leather-bound journal half buried in moss. No name, just a faded initial on the cover. D? I almost didn't open it. I wish I hadn't. The journal was full of entries, dozens of them, written in ballpoint pen dated over several years. Each entry started the same way. Day 1, woke up near the stream again. Don't remember hiking here. Don't remember my name. What followed was a record of someone trapped in the woods, trying to map a way out, always looping back to the same stream. Same clearing, same decaying animals that didn't rot, didn't change. But what chilled me, what made my stomach drop, was the handwriting. It was mine, identical. Same loops on the G's, same slightly crooked T's. I flipped through every page, all mine. And the final entry. Day 11. Found a journal today. My name is... The ink smudged and torn. It knows I've read it. I can feel it watching. I closed it and nearly threw it into the creek. But I didn't. Something in me needed to know more. That night, I woke to sounds outside my tent. Not animals, not wind, pages flipping. I zipped the tent open, flashlight in hand. The journal was right where I left it. But it was open now, to a page I hadn't seen before. The entry was dated tomorrow. It read, "He doesn't believe it yet. He will when the trail disappears, when the stars move, when the stream turns red again." Again? I packed up and started hiking back the next morning. I didn't care about finishing the loop. I just wanted out. But the trail was gone. No blazes, no markers, no GPS signal. Just endless trees in every direction. I checked my compass. It spun. I started seeing things. Shadows behind trees. Quick glances of someone walking parallel to me, just out of reach. Then I heard it. My brother's voice, calling my name, calm, repeating it like a lullaby. "Nate, hey, Nate. This way, man. I've been looking for you." I ran toward the sound, crashing through the brush like an idiot, until I found another clearing. And there, under a tree, was my brother's old backpack. The same one he wore the day he died. Inside it, a water bottle, a protein bar, and another journal. The cover bore the same faded letter, D. But this one had new entries. Fresh ink, pages still wet. And the newest entry? Day 1. Found my brother's trail. I think I'm close. I don't know how many days I've been here now. The sun rises and sets, but my watch never changes. My food hasn't run out. I never seem to get hungry. But I keep writing. I've filled 3 journals so far. All of them say the same thing in different ways. You can't leave until it remembers your name. At night, the pages whisper to me. I hear my brother crying. I hear myself laughing in a voice that isn't mine. And today I found something new. Near the stream, in the moss, another hiker, face down, decomposed. He had a journal clutched in his hand. I opened it. It started with, Day 1, woke up near the stream again. Don't remember hiking here. I looked closer. The handwriting, it's changing now. It's no longer mine. I took the job because I needed to disappear for a while. That's the truth. After what happened with my brother, the accident, the fallout, the screaming match with my family, I just wanted quiet, solitude, somewhere no one would think to look. So when the Department of Forestry emailed about a seasonal reopening of an old ranger station, I said yes before reading the fine print. The station was deep in the Cascades. No road access, a 3-day hike in, no phone reception, solar power only. The last known occupant? A ranger named Hale Horn, listed as missing since 1989. No body was ever found. My job was to assess the structure, restore inventory logs, and stay on site for 3 weeks. Sounded perfect. I arrived late in the evening. The station was nestled in a clearing, wrapped in mist. Looked straight out of a movie, faded green siding, busted weather antenna, windows like dead eyes. But inside, everything was strangely intact. Cups still in the cabinets, a fire extinguisher hanging neatly on the wall, and the coffee pot on the gas burner. Still had old black sludge in it. I figured the last supply crew just forgot to clean. That was until I found a mug on the table, still half full. Next to it was an open logbook. The last entry dated just 2 days before I arrived. He came again last night, watching from the tree line. Same eyes, same smile. No name, no signature. The handwriting looked shaky, like the writer was trying not to cry. I was the first person assigned here in over 30 years. Who wrote that entry? My first night, I couldn't sleep. The silence felt wrong, like a pressure on my chest. Around 2 a.m., I noticed a soft orange glow coming through the blinds. I peeked out. Someone was walking in the clearing, holding a lantern. No backpack, no gear, just slow, deliberate steps back and forth in front of the station. I opened the door and called out. No response. When I stepped onto the porch, the light was gone. Just darkness, as if it had blinked out. The next morning, I checked the perimeter. In the mud were bare footprints, but they only went in one direction, toward the house. Nothing led away. On the 6th day, I powered on the old CB radio out of boredom. The dial barely worked, but I picked up something faint. At first, it was just static, then a crackle, then a voice. This is Ranger Horn. If anyone's out there, he's not a man. He looks like one, but he's not. He comes when you're alone. The signal cut out. I played it back, again and again, but it wouldn't repeat. That night, I heard footsteps on the roof, the kind of deliberate pacing you only hear from a person, not a raccoon or a squirrel. Back and forth, back and forth. When I ran outside with a flashlight, the steps stopped. Nothing on the roof, no ladder, just a note pinned to the porch railing with a nail. The door was never locked. On my 12th night, I woke up to find every door in the station wide open. Kitchen, supply room, even the crawl space under the floorboards. It was freezing. The fire had gone out. My breath hung in the air. And in the middle of the floor was the mug. Full again, steam rising from it. The logbook had a new entry. He's inside now. It's his turn to write. I don't remember writing that, but it's my handwriting. I tried to leave the next morning, packed my gear, started down the trail, but every path led back to the clearing, back to the station, like I was orbiting something I couldn't see. Now, every night, he comes closer. Not running, not crawling, just walking, patient, smiling. Last night, he stood at the foot of my bed. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. He leaned in, face inches from mine, and whispered with a voice that sounded like my brother. You belong here too. And this morning, the mug was still warm.